My sister didn't just betray me. She stole my identity, and ruined my credit. I only found out when a letter arrived saying I owed $48,000. And the craziest part? She still had the nerve to invite me to her wedding. My name is Ethan Cole. I'm 36 years old now. But this story really started when I was a kid. I grew up in a house where there was always a clear favorite. And it wasn't me. That title belonged to my older sister, Lauren. Lauren was everything my parents admired. Good grades. Cheerleader. Social. Charming. I was the quiet one. The responsible one. The one who stayed out of trouble and never asked for much. And somehow, that made me invisible. When Lauren needed help, everyone rushed. When I needed help, I was told to figure it out. By the time we were adults, the pattern never changed. Lauren dropped out of college twice. I worked 2 jobs and paid my own way through school. Lauren moved back home after every bad breakup. I slept on friends' couches to save money. But to my parents? Lauren was finding herself. I was doing fine on my own. When I was 27, I finally felt like my life was stabilizing. I had a steady job, a small apartment, decent credit, and my first real sense of independence. Lauren, on the other hand, was between opportunities. That's what my mom called it. In reality, she was maxing out credit cards, bouncing between boyfriends, and always one bill away from disaster. One night, she called me crying. She said she was about to lose her car. I just need someone to co-sign, she begged. You're the only one responsible enough. I said no. For the first time in my life, I said no. That conversation ended with her calling me selfish, and my parents telling me I was turning my back on family. I didn't speak to Lauren for months after that. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. About a year later, I came home from work and found a thick envelope waiting for me. No logo I recognized. Just my full name. Inside was a notice from a collections agency. It said I owed $48,000. Credit cards. Personal loans. Late payments. At first, I laughed. There had to be a mistake. I'd never missed a payment in my life. But when I checked the account numbers, my stomach dropped. Every single account was opened in my name. Using my full legal name, my social security number, my date of birth, information only family had. I called the credit bureau. Then the banks. Then a fraud investigator. And every conversation ended the same way: sir, these accounts were opened years ago. That's when I realized something terrifying. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was planned. I pulled my credit report and sat on my couch staring at it for over an hour. Then I noticed something. An address. Not mine. Not my parents'. Lauren's old apartment. That's when the room went quiet. Because suddenly, everything made sense. The missed payments. The maxed out cards. The loans I'd never seen. My sister hadn't just borrowed money. She'd been living as me. For years. I called my parents. My mom answered like nothing was wrong. When I asked if Lauren had ever used my information, there was a pause. A long one. Then she said, well, she was going through a hard time. That sentence broke something in me. Not denial. Not shock. Just confirmation. They knew. That night, I reported my sister for identity theft. The next morning, I received a wedding invitation in the mail. From Lauren. And she wanted me there. I stared at the wedding invitation for a long time. Thick paper. Elegant font. An expensive venue. Lauren Cole and Michael Reeves request the pleasure of your presence. I felt sick. My sister had destroyed my credit, put my future at risk, and still expected me to smile for photos. I didn't respond. Not yes. Not no. I needed answers first. So I called her. Lauren answered like nothing had happened. "Hey stranger," she said, cheerful. "I was wondering when you'd call." I asked her one question. "Did you open credit accounts in my name?" Silence. Then a sigh. "Why are you being dramatic?" she said. "I always paid most of it." Most. I felt my hands shaking. "You ruined my credit," I said. "I could lose my apartment. My job checks credit." She laughed. Actually laughed. "Relax," she said. "It's not like you were using it for anything important." That sentence hit harder than any insult. Then she said something I'll never forget. "You're single. You don't have kids. You're more flexible." Flexible. Meaning disposable. She told me once she got married, things would be better. That her husband would help cover it. That I should just wait. Then she added, "And don't embarrass me right now. This wedding means everything to me." I hung up. That night, my parents called. Not to ask if I was okay, but to tell me not to cause problems. My dad said, "Families make sacrifices." My mom said, "Lauren didn't mean to hurt you." I asked them one thing: if this was done to you, would you forgive it? Neither answered. I met with a lawyer 2 days later. Identity theft. Fraud. Multiple felony charges. The lawyer told me something important: if you don't act now, this follows you forever. I froze my credit. Filed a police report. Submitted everything. Every account. Every signature. Everything led back to Lauren. The wedding was in 3 weeks. I still hadn't responded. Then my sister sent me a message. "Please come. Don't do this to me. I need you." For the first time in my life. She needed me. I stared at the screen. And that's when I decided something. I would go. Not to forgive her. Not to celebrate. But to finally end this. The wedding day arrived. And Lauren had no idea that the biggest surprise wouldn't be her dress. It would be me. The wedding venue looked like something out of a magazine. White roses. Crystal chandeliers. Soft music floating through the air. Everyone was smiling. Everyone, except me. I stood near the back, unnoticed at first. No one expected me to actually show up. Lauren hadn't seen me yet. She was laughing with her bridesmaids when her eyes met mine. Her smile froze. Just for a second. But I saw it. Her face went pale. She excused herself and rushed toward me, heels clicking fast. "What are you doing here?" she whispered sharply. "I came to support my sister," I said calmly. Her eyes searched my face, trying to read me. "You didn't RSVP. I know." She forced a smile when someone walked by, then leaned in closer. "Please," she whispered. "Don't do this today." I looked at her. "Do what?" She pulled me aside near the hallway. "I'll fix everything after the wedding," she said. "I swear." I asked her quietly, "Did you tell your fiancé?" Her eyes dropped. So that was a no. "You can't tell him," she said quickly. "You'd ruin everything." I nodded. "Okay." Relief washed over her face. She actually smiled. That's when I knew. She still thought she was in control. I sat through the ceremony. Watched her walk down the aisle. Watched our parents cry. Watched everyone applaud. I clapped too. Slowly. Calmly. Because I knew something no one else did. This wasn't her big day. It was her last safe one. The speeches started. Best man. Maid of honor. Tears. Laughter. Then the microphone was passed to my father. He spoke about family. About love. About how proud he was of Lauren. Then he said, and of course, her sister, always so quiet, so supportive. All eyes turned to me. Lauren's eyes widened. The host smiled and said, "Would you like to say a few words?" The room waited. Lauren shook her head at me. Barely noticeable. But I saw it. I stood up. Every heartbeat felt loud. "I wasn't planning to speak," I said. "But since family is so important today," I paused. Lauren's hands were shaking. "I just want to say," I continued, "that I've always supported my sister." I smiled. But support has limits. The room went quiet. Too quiet. "I hope," I said calmly, "that marriage is built on honesty." Her fiancé frowned. Lauren whispered, "Please." I looked straight at her. And finished with, "Because secrets don't stay buried forever." I handed the mic back. Sat down. And that's when her fiancé leaned toward her. And asked the question she feared most. "What secrets?" he asked. Lauren froze. Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. And I knew. The collapse had begun. She stood up suddenly. Knocked over her chair. And ran out of the room. Crying. Her wedding dress dragging behind her. And every single guest watched. The music stopped. People whispered. Forks froze mid-air. Lauren had just run out of her own wedding reception. In her dress. In tears. In front of everyone. Her fiancé stood there, confused, then angry. He followed her. I stayed seated. Because this part was no longer mine to control. They didn't make it far. The hallway echoed. Voices carried. "Tell me the truth," he demanded. What did she mean by secrets? Lauren cried. Denied. Deflected. Then finally broke. She told him everything. About how she'd pushed me out. About how she'd taken what was meant for me. About how our parents never knew the full story. And about the lie she'd been building her marriage on. 10 minutes later, they came back. But they weren't holding hands. Lauren's mascara was ruined. Her face looked hollow. Her fiancé walked straight to the microphone. Everyone went silent. "I'm sorry," he said. "There won't be a wedding today." Gasps filled the room. Lauren let out a sound I'll never forget. Not crying. Breaking. My mother stood up. "What is going on?" she asked. Her fiancé turned toward me. "Ask your other daughter," he said calmly. Every eye landed on me. Lauren screamed my name. I stood up. Slowly. "I didn't come here to ruin anything," I said. "I came because I was invited, for the first time in years." Silence. I spent my life being the one who understood. The one who waited. The one who stepped aside. My father looked stunned. I paid for things no one thanked me for. Gave up things no one remembers. Lauren sobbed. But today, I continued, I didn't say much. I looked at her. I just stopped lying. The wedding was officially cancelled. Guests left quietly. No drama. Just shock. Lauren didn't speak to me again that night. Or the next. Or the next week. I got a message. From my mother. She wanted to talk. This time, alone. She cried. Apologized. Said she didn't realize how much she'd missed. I listened. But I didn't promise anything. Because healing isn't automatic. And forgiveness isn't owed. I moved. New city. New life. I'm not invisible anymore. Not because they finally saw me. But because I stopped shrinking. Lauren. She lost the wedding. The relationship. And the version of herself that thought she could rewrite reality forever. Sometimes revenge isn't loud. It's not cruel. Sometimes. It's simply refusing to carry someone else's lies anymore. And letting the truth walk into the room by itself.